Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk with Whitney Donnell. Tonight is a very special show. I am here with Katie Story. She is a wealth coach. So I want you all to help me welcome her into the studio. She is an amazing young lady who has a beautiful story, who have a trying story. And we're going to get into this because I want her to tell us how she got to the point of wanting to be a wealth coach and understanding what it means to build generational wealth through your insurance policies and all of that good stuff. So without further ado, I just want to say thank you for joining me tonight, Miss Katie.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. So let's get into it. Were you able to find us on Facebook?
I'm looking at it now. It's fine though.
Okay. So um again, oh my God been moving so much lately or whatever. Tell me about your story and how you being a wealth coach came into fruition.
Well, originally I am from New Orleans, and so at an early age, I tell people all the time, I never saw what I wanted to be. I didn't see what I wanted to become. I didn't see the examples. And so growing up in New Orleans, I lost my mom very young.
Sorry.
And as a result of that, her first thing was if I passed away, I needed to leave something to my children. And so that was through life insurance. And so when I lost her at a very young age, she had 5 teenage kids behind. And so that led to me having to pretty much not raise myself, but watch my 18-year-old sister raise us. And so kind of, she couldn't control the teenagers. She tried to do her best. And so at the age of 19, I found myself having to bury my sister who actually raised us, from that time on.
Wow.
And so I financially had to pay for another funeral, right?
Mhm.
And so that was hard. I paid for it with my income tax. Thank God I filed my income tax late, y'all. Y'all know it's deadline, right? And
Mhm.
so thank God I had filed them later, got my taxes, and it just so happened to work out for me that way. But
Mhm.
that was money that as a single mom at the age of 19, I was dependent on that, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so right before she passed away in April, well, she passed away in April, and then so that depleted my money because I had to pay for it after I got my income tax carrying those 2 children. And then Katrina came in August. So
Oh wow.
not only did I have to pay for a funeral financially, I actually watched her die on the table in the hospital. So mentally, I wasn't there. So I checked out of life, right? And that happens. I'm mentally strong, but sometimes, things will take you out. So I have
Right.
to, leave that in as as a part of my story because I want people to understand you can make it through, right? And
Right.
so Katrina happened. I went back to work like 30 days later. And so I was financially broke,
Right.
right? And so I started all over after Hurricane Katrina moving here to Florida. And so at the age of 25, I found myself paying for another funeral for one of my oldest brothers. And so,
Wow.
moving here, I was like, dang. And why did I have to pay for another funeral? Because nobody in the family had the funds to do so. I had
Right.
the funds, so I had to do what I needed to do, right? And so
Mhm.
that just taught me, okay, I remember right before, now this happened when I was 19 and 25, but at the age of 18, I was introduced to the financial services industry, right? So
Okay.
that was always in the back of my mind. And I started working for state government. And one day I was like, God, I know this is not all you want me to do.
Right.
And so when that happened, the opportunity came for me to get back into the financial services industry. And so
Mhm.
that's pretty much that in a nutshell. And I've been doing that now and being serious with it for the last 4 years.
Well,
And so
let me go off and say off the top that Lord, I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry for all that you've gone through, but it's a bigger plan in life for
yes,
all of us.
yes,
So I know your strength had to be great in order to do what you did.
I appreciate that.
My
Yeah.
God. I'm just thinking about the weight of all of it, and then you being so young or whatever. So, it's commendable that you were able to do it, but the purpose that was behind it is so great because it led you to the financial to being a wealth coach and to the financial information that you needed to build generational wealth for your family.
That's right.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Because coming into that type of knowledge with that background, how hard was it to navigate that coming from where you were from and for all the people who didn't understand your place or your purpose?
Well, it was in me, right? And so, you want to do something. And so I became an entrepreneur at a very young age. I was doing hair already, babysitting, whatever I had to do to make $1, right? So it kind of came along, but I knew I didn't want to struggle.
Right.
I knew what happened was when the lady introduced me to the financial services industry at the age of 18, she told me she was a millionaire. That's all I wanted to hear. That's all I needed to hear. And so that part stuck with me, and that was my transition, knowing that I remembered that part, that she was a millionaire and she was Black like me.
Oh,
So
wow.
she was a Black lady. So I didn't forget that part. And so I knew that I didn't want to struggle for the rest of my life. I knew I had to do something. I knew the desires that I had, and I just needed somebody to introduce me to it. And so that's the power of connection, right? Of meeting people, talking to people, you just never know. So it wasn't hard because I knew I didn't want to struggle anymore. I just had to make a decision.
So let me ask you a question. What services do a wealth coach provide to people?
That's a great question. So we provide financial needs analysis. We look at your finances to find out where you are, how bad it is, how in the middle you are, and then we help you get over that challenge first, because sometimes you just have to see it on paper and you can't figure it out in your head. It's like algebra sometimes, or calculus. You can't see it in your head. You can see it, but it's like, okay, mentally you're trying to figure it out because you're staring at it. So we do the financial needs analysis, and we kind of bring all your finances together and show you how to navigate through it and get out of debt first.
Okay. So we get out of debt first. What's our second step?
And then we ask you, what is your desire for your future? Right.
Okay.
So we ask you what your desire is, and then we help you get to where your desired place is, whether that's home ownership, whether it's saving for college, whether, you planning for a retirement at a certain age. So we do things like that.
Okay, I like that. So if my plan was to be a homeowner, what would be your advice that you give? So I want to go through home ownership, college funds, because I have 3 teenagers. I have 3 teenagers. I am 37. Girl, I'm about to go backwards. I don't want to go backwards. 37 years old, been married for 20 years with a dog. I need to know, if you saw my plan, what in the world would I need to do first to develop the wealth for a home, to start college funds for 3 children, and if what was the third one that you gave?
The roadmap to get there. You have to know where you want to go.
Okay.
We do the financial needs analysis.
Okay.
And then we do the what did I say? The financial needs analysis, and then the college savings, or what was the third one?
I'm sorry, because I just got that all jumbled up. That's me. I didn't listen. Y'all forgive me because I just confused the lady, because I want to know how to get my life on track. And the other thing is, because I grew up in a space where pretty much my mom raised 3 girls or whatever, but she did what she had to do to make ends meet or whatever in our home or whatever. So I'm not saying that she was like broke, by no means necessary, but my mom worked hard. But I I think she spent a lot of money on just our needs. So I don't think she really saved too much. You know, I don't think she started saving till later on in life. So I want to put my children in a different space. But growing up, not seeing that happen, what would be some tools to get us to this next space?
So one thing I really stress and tell people all the time is that society tells us how to spend our money, right?
Most
But
definitely.
society also tells us to go to college and get a good job, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're already in a deficit if we listen to what society and the tradition is. We go to college and spend 100 grand. We get out of college and start making 40 grand. We're 60 grand in the hole.
Yep.
Right. So you have to learn how to navigate your finances, right? And people just don't know. So you would come to somebody like me who would say, hey, if I were you, let me show you what it could look like if this is what you did with your finances, right? But you would have to know that you have to have the discipline to get there.
I like that word.
My coach always says, denial is deadly, right? He always says that denial is deadly. So if you're in denial about where you need to be, you're already dead to where you're going. So yeah, you're already dead to where you're going.
I like it. I like that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't think enough people pay attention to the fact that, you know what I mean, without that self-control, without, because I told my husband one day, we do own our home. But we were renting, and I went to him. I actually did a budget of where all our money was going, and renting at the time was like $1,000+ So I went to him and I was like, listen, let me tell you something. Don't buy me another expensive gift. Don't buy me no purses. Don't buy me no expensive perfumes. Listen, we could cut a trip. We could cut all of that out, because at the end of the day, what I want is a home. What we're doing is opening up a window and throwing money out. You know what I mean? So I want to put that money into our home.
Right.
To create that generational wealth for our home. Also wanting to be business owners and all of that stuff right there. Like, how do we get there? So we had to deny ourselves.
That's right. And so let me just go ahead and say there's two major things that we do to get people to make smarter decisions with their money, so they can get in position to win the money game, right? The first thing we do, the first and most impactful thing we do is we teach, right? We teach families the truth about how money works, right? We teach them the basic fundamentals of the rich and the wealthy, right? The rich and wealthy, they never come and sit at our tables, right? So we have to know that they're never going to expose it to us. We have to know that we're it now. You know, we have to depend on us sticking together and passing this information along, right? And so we teach this on the first grade level, so it's easy for you to understand, your children to understand. And these kids are very witty now, so they're catching on quick. They're getting into the workforce or whatever, and they're just doing it. So we can't depend on our retirement once we get there to start teaching our children. We have to and let me give you a powerful tip as well. And I listen to my coach a lot, and he always says retirement is not an age. Retirement is a number.
Wow.
Right? You can retire at 35 if you have the funds in your accounts to do
right.
So retirement is not an age, it's a number. Right? And people don't look at it like that. They feel as though society tells us work 35 years, 35 years, and then you can retire. Who said? Right? What sets us apart from everybody else is that, we have money manuals. It's called How Money Works. That you can, like I said, your children can use it. You can use it, but you have to follow the steps in it, right? And so we build the game plan for everyone that we sit down with. And then we give them that roadmap to where they need to be.
Okay. I love that. I love it. I love it. I love it. So that's powerful. That's so powerful. And again, having that amount of knowledge, like I definitely remember wanting the home, but not knowing how to get it. And a few friends just like, listen, if you want this, it's obtainable. All you have to do is this. So what are two key things that you need to do to generate wealth through purchasing a home?
So purchasing a home, first of all, I stress, and I can't stress it enough, do not let a realtor or a bank say, oh, you can buy a home at a 640 credit score. I
Mm-hmm.
always tell the homeowners, get your credit score as high as you can get it, because credit is power, right?
Ooh,
The
yes.
banks have no power without your credit, right?
Okay.
They run a credit check even when you're opening a checking account. So I
Mm-hmm.
tell my homeowners, make sure you work hard and diligently for yourself to get your credit score as high as possible,
Mm-hmm.
and then purchase your home, right?
Okay.
Because when you purchase a home with the highest credit score, of course, your interest rate is usually lower, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so people have to think about that as well. So number one, fight to get that credit score as high as possible.
Okay.
Then remember that they're working for you. You don't
Okay.
work for them, right? And so why that is so important is because you make sure you get everything that you want and that you're not cheated.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you do they say you don't have to have money these days to, move into a home. It's always a good idea to have a cushion of money. So that
Okay.
would start with us doing a financial needs analysis for you to get to where you need to be. So the more bills you pay off, the better we can assist you in getting that home ownership, because that credit score is going to go up. It's so many different tactics and how we can attain a better credit score for you, but that starts with the financial needs analysis.
I love that. I love that. So let's move on to insurance. How can
Mhm.
insurance work for you?
So how insurance? Well, our company only does term insurance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to teach people the importance of their insurance policy. So,
Mm-hmm.
in order for you to have a life insurance policy, you have to think about where the money is going to come from, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what we teach is we make sure you understand that once you purchase a life insurance policy, that it's
Mm-hmm.
not something that you have to pay for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you shouldn't be paying for it. So that's why we do the financial needs analysis, to show you that it's not something that you have to pay for, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the time. And so we make sure that we give you that roadmap to make it work for you. So when you have a policy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the policy is $100,000. How do
Mm-hmm.
you pass on that generational wealth? You want to make sure that money is going back to your children or your great grandchildren, right?
Right.
The money should not be built in your life insurance policy, because people say, oh, well, you can be your own bank. Well, the banks get their money from the Federal Reserve, right? You can't walk into any bank and say, well, I'm my own bank, so I don't need you, right? Can you do
Mm-hmm.
that? Can you walk into a bank and say, I'm my own bank because I have a life insurance policy?
No.
Absolutely not. Right. So
Right.
people, they have to really understand and have somebody that's compassionate enough to explain this to them thoroughly, because I can tell you all day long you can be your own bank, but how do the banks get their money?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that big block of cash that you get when somebody passes, like my mom left us life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I learned the importance of it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she left us that big block of cash, we turned it into the house that she lived in, and then we flipped it into buying other properties, if that
Okay.
makes sense. So that's how we were able to pass on generational wealth,
I like that.
and then start from there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we have to teach our people that part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the
I like.
money is transferred
Mm-hmm.
in the generation, but you can set it up as well to where they don't just spend it all in one place. It's generated to them, and a lot of people don't understand that process.
Okay. I like that.
Something for you
So
to think about, right?
it is. It is. Light bulb
Because you
just went
probably
off.
never heard it like that before.
Yes, yes, light bulb just went off. As a matter of fact, I don't know who's looking for a wealth coach, but Miss K's story sounds like the one, honey. So if y'all need to get in contact with her, please look in the description box below. Her Instagram, her Facebook, as well as her email address is down below. Please get in contact with her. As a matter of fact, Kay, please tell me this.
Mhm.
Because I know you said that you break it down for the children to understand as
Mhm.
well as the adults. Do you do financial planning for whole families together?
Oh, absolutely. That's the best part.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like right now, I'm dealing with a funeral, right?
Mm-hmm.
My aunt passed away. So it's the best time to get the whole family together and actually talk about it, because we don't actually talk about it until we need it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I tell people all the time, like, you don't think about what you need until it's in front of you,
That's
right?
true.
So you have to have somebody that's going to be in your corner to talk about it with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I tell people as well, we don't we don't pass anything down in our generation.
Mm-hmm.
We don't come up in the next generation because nothing was ever passed down to us. Let
Right,
me say
right.
that one more time. We don't come up in the next generation because nothing was ever passed
Yes,
down.
ma'am.
For
Mm.
us,
Y'all better listen to her.
for
Hold on.
us,
Y'all better come back, Miss Store. We don't come up in a generation because nothing was passed down.
right.
We
That's why I
gotta
said
get
it
to a
twice.
place where we passing this
Generational
information.
wealth down.
Yes, yes.
So I always use the example of Donald Trump, right?
Okay.
I don't care who voted for him, who didn't. That's none of my business. But at the same time, I tell them, they said, well, Donald Trump only got into presidency because he already had money. His daddy gave him money. Ding dong. That's
Generational
a good
wealth.
thing. Well, if his daddy gave it to him while he was living, his daddy gave him a lot more when he passed away. So
Yes.
that's one way just to look at it. So we don't come up in the new generation because
Mhm.
nothing was passed down.
I have a question. I have another question.
Okay.
How important is it to have term life insurance outside of insurance that you have with your
On
employer?
the job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so recently, I know when COVID came out, and there was just a viral Instagram that came out about this lady whose mom had insurance at Home Depot,
Mm-hmm.
and how, because she didn't work, she had worked for this company for 20 years, and because she didn't work, she got cancer and she didn't work for them, they switched all their benefits. So the company has all the rights and reserve, so however they want to process their policies or what you can and cannot have, right? And
Okay.
so this young lady went viral, and her mom got cancer, and they switched out their benefits. So when
Mm-hmm.
they switched their benefits, all the old stuff went away. So they got a new company. When they got that new company, they said, well, we'll cover her, but because she didn't work at least one day because she was going through chemo, we can't cover her. So after 20 years,
Ooh.
the company had all the power. And so it's a viral video, and she was actually crying. And so during COVID, Sears had actually did the exact same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sears had, and you can look it up, during COVID in 2019, Sears canceled all of their policies,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so that means if you work for this company for 10, 15, 20 years and you were covered, and now you have multiple sclerosis, or you have
Mm-hmm.
cancer, or you have any, any type of disease, they didn't cover you anymore. They
Mm-hmm.
canceled. So where does that leave you? So it's always a good idea to have insurance outside of your job, right? You never want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Okay.
Because, and
Okay.
let me give you this tip about insurance on the job.
Okay.
They will only cover you, right, if
Mm-hmm.
you're employed there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I believe they have a financial interest if something happens to you, because they're not just going to give it to you, right? It's always something.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to think about it. They're never going to pay you enough insurance on the job to take care of your family for the next 8 to 10 years. Think about that. They're
Mm-hmm.
not going to give you enough coverage for you to cover your children for the next 8 to 10 years to keep that generational wealth going.
Right.
So it's
Mm.
always important to have insurance outside of your job.
Okay. Life insurance, home insurance, all of that good stuff.
And I
Okay.
believe April is financial literacy month anyway.
All right. So you know what? I may have to because I mean that's right now.
Yes.
Hey, I need to get some stuff from you so that we could just post or whatever. I need to figure out, and I need to get a flyer or something from you that we could post up so that people could definitely come to you. Because this is great information. Great information. What are some of the biggest misconceptions about insurance that you get?
The misconception about insurance is that number one, the real big one is that you are your own bank and you
Mm-hmm.
can get money from your insurance policy.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Mm.
think about this. I think a lot of people miss the fact that when they're buying life insurance and they assume that they can get money out of their policy, they're thinking in terms, okay, I have $100,000 policy. If I fall in hard times, I can just go get this money out of my policy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you have $100,000 policy, I tell people all the time, you can't go get 20,000 out of that policy. You can't go get 5,000 out of this policy. And I think we as Black people just miss that part, right?
Mm-hmm.
We assume because that's what the agents tell us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to understand that the first 3 to 5 years, you can't touch a dime of that money.
Mm-hmm.
It
Mm-hmm.
is inside the policy, and usually it's not going to be a grand amount like 5,000, 10,000, unless you're paying like $1,000 a month for the policy or something like that. And so people really have to really dig into what they have, and they just don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
it's okay not to know. And so my responsibility to this whole nation is to reach as many people as possible.
I like it. I
That's
like
my
it.
responsibility.
And that, you know
So,
what, but that's why so when I met you, like, and we started talking and you started telling me what you were doing, it was like, oh my God, not only are you super friendly and inviting, but you forthcoming with the information. So I'm
yeah.
like, let me get you on this platform so you can inform the people. I mean, it's a lot of people that I know from high school and stuff like that, you know, and we're building, we're in a good space to build. And some people just need the information. So I'm so happy that you decided to do this, that you were so willing to be on here. That makes me happy.
Yes, I
Um,
appreciate you so much.
yes, yes, and
So,
we've come back.
most people, and I say all of that to say most people have never been taught the difference between a good and a bad policy.
Right.
That's just the gist of it. They just don't know. They don't know how
What
it works. They don't know how to read it.
okay, okay. So
Mhm.
what are some things that you'll find in a bad policy?
It's not worth. So you might have somebody, and I've ran into this a lot. You
Mhm.
might have somebody whose mom probably had a policy since they were kids, right?
Mhm.
And it's so disheartening to know that when they come to you with the policy because now they're thinking about their financial state or they have a loved one that just passed away. It's just so disheartening to know that they still hang on to this policy that their mom was paying $27 for, and it's only $5,000 from 1984 or
Oh.
1994. You know, that's
Mhm.
the hard part about it.
Mhm.
It's like, dang. So sometimes those people
That's
come to
not
me
even enough to
and they
bury you.
already have conditions. So
Mhm.
that's the hard part.
Mhm.
Another thing is the death claims are not being paid out to the beneficiaries because we as Black people, we don't like to talk about, hey, I have a policy on myself. You know, like I'm knocking on 40, right? So
Mhm.
it would be a shame for my daughter to say, hey, my mom had a policy, but I don't know nothing about it. You know, I
Mhm.
don't know if I'm the beneficiary. I don't know this. I don't know that. And
Mhm.
so that's one real big problem. You know, the beneficiary, the policy holder is not telling the beneficiary. So we
Wow.
take pride in going to each individual. If I'm writing a policy for you, Whitney, I'm going in and I am going to say, hey, well, let's talk to your beneficiaries.
Right.
That's
Because
just, mhm.
I'm gonna be honest with you, that's definitely a thing. Just recently we dealt with a passing in our family, and we didn't realize how many policies this our loved one had. You know, and it was like she dealt with everything concerning the family. Like she took care of everybody, but nobody knew what went where. You know, you kind of learned it along the way, which was great or whatever. But I
But you
think it's
can't ask questions to a deceased person.
that's right. That's right. That's right. So
Yeah.
I think that's awesome that you talk to the beneficiaries as well. How important is it? Well, let me go back because you kind of already answered that. How about how important it is to speak to your beneficiaries while you're alive, you know, and
So
letting Mm-hmm.
So our company, me being who I am, and our company standards are, we're it's, it's not a requirement, but we take pride in it. It's something we've always done,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to make sure you know every detail about your policy and who's covering it and who goes where and what goes where. And so that's also a part of that financial needs analysis. It covers a mass variety of things.
Mm. So let me ask you something. On average, how many people lose out on money because they don't know
Thousands,
their
thousands,
food?
thousands. And
Oh,
so even though, you may know me and I say, well, you might be covered with I can't, cross the lines and say, well, I know this person is XY. I can't do that.
mhm.
So it's very beneficial for us and for you to go back and talk to the beneficiaries.
Wow. Wow. So if a beneficiary don't know that they're a beneficiary, do they just lose out? If is the company obligated to reach out to the
So,
beneficiary at all?
so one thing about what we did during
Mhm.
9/11,
Mhm.
our company did the research of all the families that were in that 9/11
Mhm.
attack,
Mhm.
and we paid out the policies anyway. Now,
Okay.
yeah, so we did our due diligence, but it's very important that we talk to them, and we don't waste time when it comes to covering people. We don't want to waste time talking, and we'll send them a letter. If you have all their information and you know for a fact their address, we'll send them a letter. But our first priority is to talk to them in person.
Okay. Okay. I really like that. I
So
really like that.
it's a lot. It's a lot. But millions of people lose out, millions of people. And that's one of the things that we deal with. That's one of the problems.
So, oh my God, that's whoa, that's a lot.
Mhm.
That's a lot. Oh my God, I just got stuck on my other question because that was a lot. That was major. But again, it's up to the companies to kind of pick and choose what they want to do. It's up to their discretion. You could either be a credible person or you could be incredible by not reaching out to the beneficiaries. So
Right.
that's major.
Well, I know for sure we don't stop until we contact you. I know that for a fact. Because it's personal to me as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna make sure I do everything in my power to, like I said, I'm dealing with the funeral right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's very personal to me. I've had my experience. I've had my financial hardship with, taking care of funerals and, watching my sister pass away on the table and my mom. So it's personal to me. And a lot of us just need to know how to navigate to that person or work around or work with the families because we gonna all sit around at these and it's gonna be a topic of discussion at where I am.
Yeah,
So
of course. I mean, I think that's the one thing that that we as people talk about. How's this thing gonna be covered? What's
yeah,
the name of your company, if you don't mind sharing
I
that?
represent one of the best companies in the nation. I represent Primerica Financial Services. My team name is Beast Nation.
All
So we
right.
have our team name, and we are Impact. We are looking for more people. We are looking to do business with you and for you, right?
Okay.
And so, and we just had an article in Forbes magazine. We are named
Ooh.
one of the number one financial services companies. Yes, and the number three financially secured company. So
Oh,
we're a big deal. Yeah.
super.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That
We
is it.
were,
That
it
is
was
a big
also
deal.
named as one of the best places for women to work. So women rule the world.
Yes, yes. Come on, women.
Yes,
Come
we
on
rule
now.
the nation, but we always need a few good men, right? We
That's
always need
right.
a few good men, right? Because another thing that one of my coaches told me, she said, "You always find a man." Which how she said, "You always find a man where the money is, a good man where the
Hmm.
money is." So
Come on now.
yeah.
We always looking for a good man with some money, honey. Come on here to be a good steward over this house and
Yes.
everything, to build this wealth. Um, I love the fact that you're enthusiastic about where you work. I love the fact that you love
Yes,
what you do. And
I
again, being
do.
a
Yes.
yes, girl,
Yes.
because you showing all them teeth. Yes, I love where I work.
Because and I tell people we're a big deal. You have to get into it. Financial services, because
Mhm.
money transactions are done all over the United States, and the transaction is doing right now. A
Mhm.
transaction is being made in Europe, Aruba,
Mhm.
Florida,
Mhm.
Mississippi, Louisiana. The transactions are being made right now. So when I'm sleeping, somebody is spending money. So
Yes.
it's a transaction based company, ordeal. So,
So
we
how
have to get people to understand, where
Mhm.
they are in life though, and who really want the change for their family and to create that generational wealth.
So let me ask you something. I'm about to kind of switch it up a little bit. How important is it to have multiple streams of income?
It's very important.
Okay.
And I'm gonna tell you like this: most millionaires, they didn't get rich off of one thing.
Right.
If
Right.
you think about it, they
hmm
didn't. They
hmm
didn't.
But
They
why
got
do
rich
most
off of.
Americans think that there's only supposed to be one trick ponies? Like they're only supposed to do one thing.
Why do most, I really couldn't answer that question, but I can say this: it goes
Mhm.
back to society training us.
Yes.
So society has trained, like I said, they tell us go to school, get a good job, and work one job.
hmm
Most millionaires have never made millions of dollars by doing just one thing. So it's always good to have multiple streams of income.
I love it,
So
Kate.
this is the financial services industry is the industry where you can work part-time and
Mhm.
make a full-time income.
Oh, I
So
like it.
yeah.
So let me ask you, do you have videos or YouTube or anything that people could watch to build?
Yes, I absolutely do. I always tell people to follow my coach, the Locker Room Legend, on YouTube. And then I come back and I reinforce everything that he says and does.
Wait a
And
minute. The
so
locker room.
the Locker Room Legend, yes.
Okay. I'm trying to write it down so that I could put in the thing.
And then follow me on social media as well. So, I'm not on YouTube, but I am in the transition to where I am starting to do motivational speeches and just do those viral TikToks that everybody loves so much.
Yes, yeah. I don't know now that I don't know if America gonna be having TikTok around too much longer, honey.
Right, right, right.
Look, honey,
But
you
we
might
go,
want to do a short or something.
yeah, I can do that. So I'm getting into the YouTube world.
Yes,
I love YouTube, right?
yeah.
But I'm not in that world yet, but I'm
But you
transitioning
got
to
the
that.
personality for it. That's the thing. Like it's captivating. You'll have people drawn to, wanting
Well,
to
I
hear this
appreciate
information.
that. I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah. That's easy. I think that'll be easy for you.
Yes.
But I know you be traveling and stuff, so honey, carving out that time is gonna be different.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to bring my social media specialist with me, aka my daughter.
Hey, 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 come on, daughter,
Right,
come through.
right. That's
Well,
right.
I'm gonna go ahead and close this out because I know that you got to get back to your family, and I really appreciate you taking the time to enlighten us on some wealth tips, how to build generational wealth. But I will invite you back because again, we need you in this community. But the next time you come back, I would definitely want to have a group of teenagers as well as because
Oh,
I have teens. I have a daughter that's in college now, or maybe I could get you to come to my church to speak to the collegiate
that's right.
ministry to build wealth or any of that stuff. But long story short, I want to hear from you again.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. I would love to come back and visit with you all again.
Yes. So again, everybody, whenever you get a chance, if you want to link up with Miss Katie Story, for her to be your wealth coach, please look in the description below, and you'll find her Instagram, her Facebook, and again her email address, and she'll get right back to you. But until you do, and until she reach back out to you, I want you to continue to be as beautiful as you are. Show up, give love, and bless somebody's life. Y'all
That's
have
right. God
thank you.
bless you all. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, and I'll see you all soon.
Yes, have a blessed evening.
You
Safe
too.
travels.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Bye bye.